Hey there, beautiful bride. My name is Jillian Rosich Kendrick, and I'm the founder of My Best Wedding and MyWeddingPlanningCourse.com. I'm so excited because today is Wedding Wednesday, so I am taking your questions. We're going to have an awesome chat about wedding dresses or anything that you need, anything you need help with. Send in your questions. Let's start a conversation. Let's get the ball rolling. Share this video with as many people as you'd like. If you have any girlfriends or friends that are going through the wedding planning process, please share and invite them onto this video so that we can all learn from each other and have an awesome conversation. Let me get started, as always, with getting my iPad up to speed because I do not trust Facebook Live. And I'll make sure that I'm getting the questions. Give me just a second. Awesome. Okay, we're good to go. So, hey guys. Wedding Wednesday. Love Wedding Wednesday. This is super awesome. I hope you are having an awesome Wednesday. I hope you are having a beautiful, blessed day. I've had a crazy day today, getting a lot of video editing, getting a lot of work done. I've had the pool guy, I've had the lawn guy, I've had like 2 other people come to the house to get something done. So crazy day for me, but it's all right. So I want to talk to you today about buying your wedding dress. The wedding dress, really, you know, I always say this, everything in wedding planning, as well as everything in life, holds as much value or as much importance or as much like emotional value on it as you give it. So if you really don't care about the flowers aren't really going to matter, right? If you really don't care about the aisle having some sort of runner or something like that, which I didn't want anything like that, then it's not going to matter, and that's okay. Usually the wedding dress comes with a lot more emotional emphasis just because it's the wedding dress, right? It's how you look, it's how you present yourself to the wedding party, to everyone who attends your wedding, and most importantly, to your groom, right? Or to the person that you're going to marry. So the wedding dress, obviously is very significant. And again, it can be as important or as unimportant as you want it to be. If you're not a girly girl and you don't really wear dresses, then maybe it's not so important to you. If you're a super girly girl and you want to be princessed out with like the poofy dress and all of that, then maybe it is a little bit more important to you, or whatever the case may be. But it's up to you to decide and figure out what's important to you and how you want to go about buying your wedding dress. You'll watch on Say Yes to the Dress. When I was wedding planning, I would watch Say Yes to the Dress constantly. In fact, I probably watched Say Yes to the Dress for about 2 years, up until the point where I was engaged. I was well versed in Say Yes to the Dress, just because, excuse me, just because all of my other girlfriends from college and high school were getting married around that time. And I was like, okay, well, I'm next, it's coming, right? And I would watch Say Yes to the Dress kind of in preparation for getting engaged. So if you watch a show like that, you'll notice, especially the one that's based in New York City, you'll notice that a lot of these dresses really start at like the $3,000 range. You're really not going to find, unless you're there on like a blowout sale or something, you're really not going to find a dress that's going to be lower than like $1,500, maybe $2,000, give or take. And most of them are going to average between like 5,000, 6,000, or 7,000. At least the ones like when I was watching the show, that was kind of the average of what I was seeing. And if you don't have the funds, if you don't have the money or the budget allocated to buy a dress that's $5,000, $10,000, $7,000, then don't feel like just because you see it on a TV show that you have to have that. You definitely don't. And you could have a gorgeous wedding gown by you know, buying at like a consignment store, buying something that is at a blowout sale, buying, you know, a secondhand dress, or buying, like, I bought my dress. My dress is a gorgeous Vera Wang dress that is absolutely beautiful, made by an amazing wedding designer. And it was $1,200, which for David's Bridal is actually the most expensive dress that they sell in their shops, is around like $1,200, $1,300. So by no means did I get a cheap dress, but I definitely saved. I was expecting, from having watched Say Yes to the Dress for so many, like year after year, I was seriously expecting, and genuinely, like, not joking, I budgeted between $3,000 and $5,000 for my dress, because I watched Say Yes to the Dress for so long, and I was like, okay, I know how much these girls are spending. I know what their budgets are. I know what dresses they're going after and what I want. And so I was expecting to get that kind of a price tag, and I was super lucky to go to my local David's Bridal, and no joke, the second dress that I tried on ended up being the dress of my dreams, and the dress that I found that I absolutely loved. So finding a dress is about a couple of things. Finding the perfect dress is, one, always about budget. What is a realistic budget for you? And it might be different, you know, if you're in New York City and it's one of the fashion capitals of the world and you're gonna have higher living expenses, you should probably expect to pay, you know, $3,000, $5,000 and upwards for a really nice dress. If you live somewhere maybe that's more rural, if you live in the South, if you live in California, if you live in Chicago, if you live in Pennsylvania, if you live in Ohio, right? Like, if you live in Montana, it doesn't matter. You have to look at how much a dress in your area is going to cost you, and that at the end of the day is going to be a more realistic number than watching a TV show that you know, is set in a place that you probably don't live, right? Also consider that David's Bridal is constantly doing sales, and a lot of these bridal shops too are always trying to move inventory, and inventory that doesn't sell for whatever reason, and they want to get last year's stuff out the door and get new stuff in. You can go to a bridal store and offer them a certain amount of money, and you know, they might take it, they might not. But definitely consider, like, I think I just saw a commercial for David's Bridal where they're doing like $99 dresses. That's awesome. If you expect to pay $1,000 for your dress, but you only end up spending like $100 or $200, you just saved $800, and you can allocate those funds towards something else, which is awesome. So April, hey April, how are you today? April says, I have my eye on a dress at David's Bridal for $1,650. Okay, well that's awesome. So one thing that you should consider is, do you have the $1,650 in your budget allocated for that dress, right? Because if you were like me and I was expecting to pay $3,000 but I only spent like $1,200 or $1,500, then you're golden and it's within your budget and you're all set, right? But if you're expecting to pay a lot less and you have to come up or find other places in your budget to, you know, to make cuts so that you can afford that dress, then it gets a little bit more complicated. So one is always remember budget, consider where you're at locally, consider where you live and what's close to you. Do you have a place where you could go to a David's Bridal and find like, or an outlet store and find some kind of a sale, or can you save up, you know, money to fly to New York City to go to a Say Yes to the Dress blowout sale of some sort, right? Think about those things and consider that if you're traveling so much to go find a dress, that money for travel should probably be part of your wedding dress budget, right? Because you're traveling, you're buying like plane tickets or whatever in order to get there. Also think about the fact that with dresses, people tend to think that the more material, the more the dress is going to cost. And that's very true. That's not necessarily untrue, but the cost for the dress really comes from the construction of the dress and the material, not so much how much material it's made out of, but the type of material that it's made out of. So if you're buying a silk dress, silk is going to be a lot more expensive than, you know, another fabric. If you're looking at organza, or if you're looking for other fabrics, some fabrics are going to cost quite a bit more than others, right? So also consider not just shape, not just style, but consider the fabric as well. Part of the reason that my Vera Bradley gown cost so much was because it was like a silk slash organza fabric that like she tailor made. Like this fabric only exists because she makes it, right? And that's part of the reason that it costs so much. So when you're looking at wedding dresses, consider the fact that if you go with a fabric that's a little bit cheaper, you can get a beautiful gown that's going to cost a little bit less than if you go for like the top of the line, most expensive fabric with, you know, tons and tons of layers and poofiness or whatever. You like, just think about the fact that all of those things add up. And on top of that, you have, you're eventually going to have costs for bustling. You're going to have costs to have it tailored, have them steam and press your dress. You're going to have costs to have them, you know, have it fitted towards you, to your body if you need to, right? But don't be afraid of those costs. Just budget. As I always say, do your homework, do the preliminary work, take the steps to make those things happen so that you're not, so that you're prepared and you have those funds ready and you're not thrown off guard or sitting there saying like, well, I thought I was going to pay, like April said, $16.50 for my dress and that was it. Well, a dress that costs $16.50, or really at the end of the day, a dress that costs anything is usually going to have somewhere between $200 to $500 worth of bustling and then any kind of adjustments or tailoring or anything that they need to do for you, right? So think about that as well. And as always, you know, just keep budget in mind and keep those things in mind as well for buying your wedding dress. And another big suggestion that I have is go to a bridal shop, and if you don't know what you're looking for and you don't know what you want, try on one of everything. Say, I want, you know, a straight neckline, I want a sweetheart neckline, I want a V-neck, I want an off the shoulder, I want a strap, I want a spaghetti strap, I want a one shoulder, maybe you want like a crisscross sort of thing. And then for skirts, you know, or what kind of bodice you want. For skirts, tell them, you know, you want to try a mermaid and a trumpet and a ball gown and an A-line and an umpier and, you know, everything else that they have to offer, so that if you're not sure what's going to look good for your body type, you can then just go and don't even, you know, you don't have to look at the dress and say, okay, what kind of beading does it have? Does it have lace? Does it have this or that? But you can just look purely at silhouette and see what looks good for you, what looks good on your body. I was so nervous just being a bigger girl. Like I'm 6 foot tall, right? And so I was nervous about what's going to look good on me, what's going to look right for my body and my body type. And I eventually, I really kind of got to the point where after doing a little bit of homework and looking at body types and looking at pictures on Pinterest, I got to the point where I knew roughly what would look good and what I wanted and what other dresses I had tried on that looked good for my body type. But at the end of the day, if you're not sure, try on one of each and see where that gets you. So I want to take some questions and hear your thoughts and comments. So go ahead and comment below in the comment section and ask if you go ahead and ask if you have any wedding planning questions, wedding planning ideas, any thoughts you'd like to share, or if you're like stressing out about wedding planning, I'd love to hear about that as well. And then I'll go ahead and take some questions and we'll start the conversation. Also, any brides that you know, anybody who's wedding planning that you think would benefit from this conversation, please share this video out as well. While I'm waiting on a few questions, let's talk a little bit more about dresses. Another thing to consider when you're dress shopping is you know, you might already have your shoes picked out. You might already know that your something blue is going to be a blue pair of like stilettos or high heels, right? Or maybe a blue pair of flats or something like that. So if you already have your shoes, it's a really good idea to bring those shoes with you while you're dress shopping, so then you can see, depending on the length of the skirt, where does that hit the floor, or where does it hit you when you put those shoes on, right? I think, I'm trying to remember if I had my shoes or not. I know I definitely did for my fittings, obviously, but I don't think I had my shoes yet. It took me a while to find the shoes that I ended up wearing on my wedding day. But if you have those, it's a really good idea to see what fits you and what fits you well. Not to brag, but my wedding dress actually fit me so perfectly that they didn't have to, other than the bustling and like 1 or 2 tweaks to the bottom of the skirt, they didn't have to do any alterations whatsoever. I was actually really lucky and very blessed that I could save some money with a lot of alterations. And I keep looking that direction too, because right behind my camera is my closet, and my wedding gown is actually in the closet. I bought, David's Bridal will actually sell you, I think it's like $99 or something like that. They'll sell you a preservation kit when you go and buy your wedding dress. I bought the kit. It's still sitting in that same closet. I have my wedding dress hanging, and I just like can't bring myself to get it preserved and get it washed. I will still take it out and look at it every once in a while. So I like can't, I don't know, maybe you guys can give me some encouragement, but I have yet to bring myself to actually get it preserved and straightened out, but that's quite okay. Haven't seen any questions come in yet, so no worries, but I'm gonna go ahead and say bye for now, just because I've got a lot of video editing and stuff to do. Today is July 20th, and I am launching August 1st for my rapid fire wedding planning course, my getting started quiz, and a couple of other products and programs that I have coming out. So look for that August 1st, and I'm so like, I'm exhausted from doing all of this work, but I'm so excited to bring this to you. It's gonna be amazing, and it's really gonna benefit and help a lot of brides who are struggling with budgeting or what to do or how to get started in the wedding planning process. This is definitely gonna help you out. So look for that August 1st, and until then, any questions that you have, feel free to private message me, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye guys.